Welcome back to March 17th, 1998. It is a Tuesday night Raw. We're live from Phoenix, Arizona on a Tuesday night. We are less than 2 weeks away from WrestleMania 14. This is not the go-home show. It's the show before that. But there's no Stone Cold Steve Austin on this episode. No Shawn Michaels on this episode. No Mike Tyson on this episode. The Federation is leading up to their biggest pay-per-view of the year, and its champion and its number one contender don't even appear on this episode of Raw, but they include them in different ways to make it unique. We'll talk about that and more. It's the 22nd episode of Analyzing Attitude. Go ahead and light the pyro. Welcome into the Double Deuce. It's Analyzing Attitude, episode 22. Jimmy Allen, the good doctor. Mike Sweeney here. We're taking you back to March 17th, 1998. Now you're thinking to yourself, Mike, Jimmy, March 17th isn't a Monday. It's another Tuesday night edition of Monday Night Raw. It is not the go-home show. It's the show before the go-home show. No Stone Cold Steve Austin. No Shawn Michaels. What the hell are we doing?
I mean, I guess not such a happy St. Patty's Day for this episode of Raw. To your point, I was like driving myself crazy trying to find this episode. It's like it is nowhere to be found. It's like I don't know if I can review this. I can't find it anywhere. And then did the archives and find out it was a Tuesday. And I should have paid attention last week because I think they mentioned that.
They did, and so did I. So I'm glad you're listening to our podcast as we're recording. That's neither here nor there. But we are just 2 weeks away from WrestleMania 14. And the best match / best build of the Royal Rumble is what we open up this episode of Raw with. It's Ken Shamrock and The Rock. Kevin Kelly's in the ring to interview Kevin Kelly's interviewing Ken Shamrock, which is apparently difficult for me to say. But
you know what? You still sound better than Ken Shamrock in this promo.
Fair enough. Yeah, the Intercontinental Champion is a phrase that happens in this one. But Kevin Kelly asked the hard-hitting questions tonight, and we're going to get that in a little bit too. But he asked if Ken Shamrock could avoid snapping against The Rock. Ken Shamrock says, well, I've only lost my cool a couple times. Ken, your whole gimmick for the last 4 months has been you losing your cool. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not. But he said the only person that really needs to worry about that is The Rock. And The Rock calls himself the People's Champion. And as he says that, out comes The Rock and the Nation of Domination. And Rock tells Ken to know his role and shut his mouth. And there's about 4 different catchphrases that are born on this episode of Raw, by the way. He also calls him a jabroni. He says he can't last 2 minutes with any member of the nation. But we just talked about the build of the Royal Rumble, which was Ken Shamrock running through every member of the Nation of Domination. But he says that he can't last 2 minutes with any member of the nation, let alone The Rock. And he says that D'Lo is going to prove that. So we're going to open up Raw with a 2-minute challenge tonight between Ken Shamrock and D'Lo Brown. And this D'Lo gets kind of a bad rap later in his career because of the injury to Draws and paralyzing him. But this is just kind of the start of the D'Lo Brown that we see morph into the European champion and become one of the guys that's one of the best workers in the ring, that's consistently in the ring week in and week out.
Yes, I believe 98 is the year that we get the infamous chest plate. That becomes a staple of his throughout his career. And you know, he does get a lot of flack, but I was even thinking when he dropped that short leg drop on Shamrock in this match, it's like that was just crisp, looked snug, but it also looked safe. You know, he was a hell of a worker, and I don't think a lot of people talk about him in that light like they should.
Well, and I wonder how much, like, Jim Ross often talks about, you know, recruiting athletes that understand what athleticism looks like and putting a presentation together. Like D'Lo played football at Maine and was a Division I athlete, et cetera, et cetera. And like, obviously that translates to his athleticism in the ring, excuse me. But this match is a 2-minute challenge. D'Lo controls the whole first minute of it. The Nation's feeling comfortable. They stayed up on the ramp the first 60 seconds. And then The Rock starts making his way when it looks like D'Lo has things in control. But at the 58-second mark, Shamrock flips things around. He hits a belly-to-belly suplex, locks in the ankle lock with about 14 seconds left, and then The Rock slides in and hits him in the back with a chair. Shamrock goes to his knees and doubles over, and then crawls up onto his knees and tells The Rock to bring it. And this is one of the most brutal chair shots. This is clearly the meat and potatoes of the week. And take a look at this. This is a stiff shot to the head. And now, listen, it's 2025. We know about CTE and concussions and all that. And they're going to send Ken Shamrock to a local medical facility after this because he's bleeding from his ear and is supposedly concussed, etc. But this was one of the most talked about moments of 1998 around the wrestling circles.
Yes, and like if you look up like chair shot compilations on YouTube or any like extreme WWF moments,
if you Google chair shots right now, there's probably a picture of this moment.
Yes, I mean meat potatoes of the week. I really don't know of any other meat and potato moments that we could even put over this when it comes to at least just the furious violence in that chair shot that just. And I know they've done interviews in the past, and Ken said, "Fucking swing it," and Rock's like, "Yeah, all right, I'll fucking swing it." And
yeah, here we go, buddy.
Man, I'm so surprised his head is still attached to his body.
Yeah, and the officials come out and they have to help Ken Shamrock to the back. And we're gonna, like I mentioned, we're gonna send Kent off to the local medical facility here in a little bit. But what comes up next? Like we talk often in this era about bad promos.
Mm-hmm.
Sable comes out next.
Yep.
This is a bad promo.
Yes.
She says she's here to end the feud with Luna Vachon once and for all. But we just announced they're having a mixed tag team match at WrestleMania last week. So that makes no sense. She challenges Luna to a fight tonight, not a wrestling match, but a fight after calling her a bitch. And then she just storms off. And then somehow this segment is saved by the Phoenix Suns gorilla. He repels from the ceiling and then does a Sin Cara-esque entrance into the ring by doing a flip off of a trampoline and doing a somersault. For as bad as the Sable promo was, this crowd is putting the Phoenix Sun gorilla over maybe more than anybody in the ring on this evening.
Oh my God. Like, I going from that god-awful promo, which by the way, they only popped because she said the word bitch. Yeah, but it was really, really.
Oh, there's two other pretty big reasons why.
Oh yeah, I mean,
1998, folks.
Yeah, that's what we got for you at the time. But the Phoenix Suns gorilla, like, is his shtick supposed to be like he's like clumsy? Because I was like, that guy's got to be like
that's
drunk.
his thing.
Oh, okay,
yeah, that's his thing. Yeah,
never mind.
He would often intentionally miss dunks off a trampoline to smash into the rim post and things like that. So
sorry, everyone. Not a huge basketball guy.
Yeah, but he's a huge Miami Dolphins fan. You can
That's right.
The garb he's wearing tonight. You know who else I'm not a big fan of? Tom fucking Brandy, and he's on this episode of Raw again. And I mean, at least he's not fighting Mark Marrow, I guess.
Yeah. Then they're just giving it to him against somebody else that really doesn't have any really direction right now. I mean, although I really don't remember if Jarrett was at Mania 14, but is this supposed to be his Mania entrance? Because I was like, this is extravagant for a Raw. He comes out with a horse against Tom Brandy on a Raw, and it's like got glow stick.
Well, speaking of clumsy, this horse was as clumsy as hell, but fell down the rampway twice. I don't know. Like, this is. I think this is supposed to be a tribute to Jerry Lawler. He did it several times in Memphis. Obviously, the Jarrett's and Jeff's father, Jerry, it was a big part of that. Mm-hmm. This is something that was a huge deal in Memphis. Like, anytime the King came to the ring on a white horse, it was a big event. Gotcha. But again, this is St. Patrick's Day on a random Tuesday night in Phoenix, Arizona. This is not a huge deal. Jeff Jarrett is on Raw. He walks a different horse to the ring, though. He brings Jennifer Flowers, who got announced as a celebrity appearing at WrestleMania. Her biggest claim to fame is she slept with the President of the United States. Whatever. But no, Jeff Jarrett's not even on. Like, he's getting this big build. He's riding a horse to the ring. He comes out to the ring on a horse again next week, by the way. We'll get to that. He's got an official, like, before Alberto Del Rio had his own personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez. We have Tennessee Lee announcing Jeff Jarrett is more famous than Elvis Presley coming down to the ring. He's undefeated since coming back. Yeah. Other than the one non-title North American Championship loss that he had. And we're just got a nothing burger for him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do with him. Like, it's just it feels like they want to push him, but there's just no creative stems flowing like for anybody, like for Jeff, like, and that's too bad because as we see later on, he's great if you just let him be himself, other than sticking him with Yosemite Sam and horsing around and whatnot.
Yeah, and Tom Brandy's not going to help anybody get over. Sorry, Sal Sincere, it's just not working out. But obviously, Jarrett gets the win, locks in the figure 4, and that's that, I guess. And then we get what ends up being a pretty big theme on this episode of Raw. Now, listen, Shawn Michaels has got a broken back. He tweaked his knee last week. He's got life issues. Stone Cold Steve Austin is still just months removed from basically being a quadriplegic for about 30 seconds. Both these guys are pretty beat up at this time. And you need to get the match in the ring at WrestleMania. We know there's some backstage issues. We know about Shawn's demons as well. We talked about none of the 3 involved in the main event being here on this episode of Raw. So the way we compile that is we give a tribute to both of them. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin has only been in the business for 8 years at this point. Yeah. But Shawn Michaels has obviously got a pretty historic career on television for the WWF through the Rockers years, through the Heartbreak Kid years. And then they showcase his athleticism for the new generation type stuff. And then they almost like give you this, and then he flipped to the evil empire of Degeneration X, and he was this great athlete and this polished champion before becoming a member of DX, and look how much it's molded. I really love this presentation. Now, this gets turned up to about 15 at WrestleMania. The trailers before every match at Mania 14 is a thing of wrestling legend. Yes. And you get a small dose this year. I thought this presentation was great.
I agree. I do think they both went a hair long, but then I thought about it, and it's like neither of these two are on the show tonight. Why fill it with more Truth Commission or stuff like that, and just give a nice tribute.
That's fair. Listen, if we're gonna bitch about the Truth Commission, I guess we got to be pretty happy about this stuff,
right? Totally. And they had great snippets of both of their careers throughout. I mean, right now I know they just did Shawn at this point, but it's cool just to see where they came from and how they got to this point. Whereas right now we think Shawn's about to retire and Stone Cold's on his way up. So very, very well done video packages.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked cool. It looked like a professional movie, cinema, theater type breakdown. It was great. I forgot how good these packages were. It's almost like I think about the My Way video and things like this. This is a precursor to all of that.
Oh yeah, like if I go through Twitter and I see some of these hype promo packages, man, I turn them, like I can't stop scrolling. I'll watch it, and then I might even throw on Peacock, and it's like I'm gonna watch that match now because that got me hyped.
We don't have the Truth Commission, but we're still dealing with this crap. The Headbangers are taking on the Rock and Roll Express and Jim Cornette in a handicap match next, because on Superstars, the Headbangers, Jim Cornette dropped a couple of elbows on the Headbangers, got their stuff in, so now it's time for them to get their comeuppance here. We talked about Sable a little bit ago. We talked about Owen Hart maybe missing the boat on the microphone and maybe not making as big as an impact for that reason. They let Thrasher talk here, and he says that the only team that's handicapped is the other team because they have Jim Cornette on it. This was actually a really good promo. I was really kind of surprised with how good of a talker he was, because I don't remember him talking after this.
No, and I don't remember either of them, honestly, personally having any really big promo time. But I would, after that, I mean, I'm not going to say he's an all-star, but, it was smooth and he did.
It was good.
Got the point across. I would definitely give a microphone to Thrasher over Shamrock any day of the week.
This match means nothing. It goes 4 minutes. Jim Cornette doesn't even get in the ring. The Headbangers get the win after the stage dive. And then they bring Jim Cornette in the hard way. And then Bob Holly and Bart Gunn in like Power Ranger outfits show up next. And they beat down the Headbangers, and Jim Cornette grabs the microphone and says, people have been begging for years for him to bring back the Midnight Express. Well, here's the new Midnight. Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart. There's nothing really bombastic or bodacious about either one of these two guys.
That just screams Vince McMahon. I'm sorry. I mean, I know he probably gives. Pal. Oh my god! And yeah, like you said, Power Rangers. I was like big Chargers fanboys. That's what I thought when I saw him.
But Jim Cornette says that there's men wearing skirts that are holding the NWA tag titles. And he turns around and says he blames that on the Rock and Roll Express. And then Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart start start to beat down the Rock and Roll. So the NWA faction is completely split now. They're completely gone. And like, what was the point of any of that? Like, Bradshaw never really got his comeuppance. Where the hell is Barry Windham?
Jared's back to
I
where he was.
I guess we need more tag teams for the 15 tag team battle royal at Mania. That's only going to lead to one good team coming out of it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, next.
Yeah. Well, it's next is more the same we got earlier. The Phoenix Suns Gorilla is back in the ring, and since Stone Cold's not here tonight, we need somebody to move some merch, and he's wearing his Gorilla 316 shirt and gets up on the middle rope to get the fans into the show, and the lights go out, and the organ plays, and then Kane, who is the pop scare Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees-esque character, is walking to the ring for Michael Cole to give us this line. This isn't monkey business anymore, JR.
Oh my. Like,
Cole, come on, man. The gorilla, who was way more entertaining than Michael Cole has ever been, flexes at Kane, which earns him a chokeslam and a tombstone. The crowd boos the shit out of this, by the way. The Undertaker showed up at the end of Raw last week. Apparently, he's not a giant Phoenix Suns fan because he doesn't come out and save the gorilla here.
No, maybe he was getting tired of him, or he didn't. Maybe he was mad he didn't try to, rip off his merch and do like rest in peace.
Fair enough.
But that hell of a bump that he bounced off that mat there off the chokeslam.
Yeah, good for the Phoenix Sun gorilla.
Yeah.
Owen Hart comes out next. He's in a cast on his foot, and last week he was in a match and popped his Achilles. Seems like he's going to be fine, but he's going to do commentary for the whole hour of the War Zone.
That did look nasty, by the way. They did show.
Yeah, it was. Someone's broken their ankle 3 times. I can attest that that's not very fun.
Right.
But we get Chainsaw Charlie versus Billy Gunn, and I legitimately got pissed about this because the whole point of last week was like Cactus Jack's not supposed to leave Terry Funk by himself,
right?
And then Terry Funk comes out to the ring by himself for this match. And then the Outlaws come out, and we're 2 very comfortable in our sexuality, heterosexuals on the show.
I think so.
My God, was Billy Gunn jacked to the gills?
Oh,
that is one handsome man at this moment in 1998.
Freaking built Billy, man. He was like he still is at age 60, whatever the hell he is. Like it's
Road Dogg says that Billy Gunn is the reason that Chippendales is out of business. And Mr. Dog, you may be spot on here, but this goes minutes before the Road Dogg gets in the ring and whips Terry Funk with a belt. It's more of what we've seen. I was just like, are we just really going to rinse and repeat this crap again?
Yeah.
But then Funk counters the Dog on the outside of the ring. Funk hits a DDT onto the belt on Billy and then chases Road Dogg up the ramp. And then Cactus is standing at the top of the ramp. I went, oh, this is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe the commentators didn't point this out. They used the rope that the Phoenix Suns gorilla used to rappel from the ceiling to hog-tie Road Dogg and then string him up by his feet. And like that just goes. They're like, oh, they're hog-tying him, and like they're getting the best of him. And I'm like, hey, listen, the guy took a chokeslam and a tombstone. Can we give him a little bit of credit for the assist here?
Right, because it just seems like they just randomly have this ability to
hoist them up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and although Cactus Jack did have, I feel like one of the lines of the night there when he had a Road Dogg strung up. He said, to be honest with you, Road Dogg, I really don't know how to get you down from there. So yo ass better call somebody.
There it is. And like this is probably the best feud on TV right now. Like they're interacting with each other every week. We're doing more creative things like hog-tying a guy, throwing him off the stage at a dumpster, bashing in their car with a windshield while they have a camera in the car. Like there's new things that haven't been seen or done before or done in a while at least. And it just seems to be these 4 guys bringing it out the best out of each other every single week. And it's been a lot of fun to watch.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think there's been a dull segment or program or moment in this program. Like it's just all crazy. And I think the unique personalities of both Mick Foley and Terry Funk really helps with that because they're able to do, some outside of the box thinking in their feud.
We no Stone Cold, no HBK, as we alluded to. However, the guy that has been kind of the talking point at this point is Vince McMahon, and obviously we got the promo between he and Stone Cold last week. We know Austin's not here this week, but Kevin Kelly is back in the ring, and he asked for a warm welcome for Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWF. And Vince gets booed, and the Austin chants ring out, and Kevin Kelly says, there was some unfortunate situations last week with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Vince says, unfortunate and unprofessional. And then Kevin Kelly recaps Vince trying to explain that the baddest man on the planet was just a figure of speech. Mm-hmm. We get the blurred middle finger again. And Vince points out that Austin is flustered because Shawn Michaels continues to get the upper hand and the best of him. Mm-hmm. Kevin Kelly goes back to the Titantron and shows Austin offering a free punch to the face. And Vince says, haven't we seen enough of the footage? And then Kevin Kelly asks why Vince didn't punch Stone Cold in the face. And this obviously pisses Vince off. And Vince says, he was saving the main event of WrestleMania. And Kevin Kelly says, well, what do you mean by saving the main event? And Vince says, if he'd have punched Austin, he would have broke Austin's jaw. We are just poking the bear, are we not?
Oh, the crowd is just audibly laughing at this too,
and chanting Austin at the top of their lungs.
Oh yeah, they were all over Vince in this segment, and I forget about the earlier heel Vince stuff when he's trying not to be a bad guy. Yeah, unbiased and all that stuff. But I mean, it's clearly eking out, and this is when at the end of this, we get his true feelings about Stone Cold, and Kevin Kelly gets ungodly weird with his pushing of answers from Vince.
I thought it was good though. It was weird because it's not really who Kevin Kelly is,
right?
But Kelly's grandfather here decides to go back to the Titantron one more time and shows us that Austin ordered Vince out of his own ring, and Vince McMahon, he asked Vince how that makes him feel, and Vince says he didn't want to take Austin down. And Kelly says that you never really answered the question if you want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin become champion. And then he said that Kevin Kelly, and the fans deserve to know, which was a really weird way to word that. But Vince said, it doesn't matter what I want. It matters what the fans want. And the fans go nuts at that. And Vince says, if Stone Cold were to be molded into a respectful WWF champion, and remember that line for the next couple of weeks,
yes,
it would be an easier answer. And he said that if he was a champion the way he is now, it would be a corporate PR nightmare. Listen, this is a guy that's drinking beers at the top of trucks, giving people the middle fingers, cursing every chance he gets. Just called the owner of the WWF a pussy last week. Kind of easy to relate to Vince McMahon here, but Kevin Kelly says that still hasn't answered the question. He wants the truth. And Vince McMahon turned around like, who the hell are you talking to? Vince, we're all wanting the same thing, by the way. Vince says he doesn't think Kevin, the fans, or Stone Cold Steve Austin himself can handle the truth. And Kevin Kelly says, you still haven't answered the question, yes or no. And Vince says, it's not just a no. It's just not just a no. It's a, oh, hell no, which Jerry Lawler laughs hysterically at, by the way. And then Vince grabs the microphone and says, and Steve, that's the bottom line because Vince McMahon said so. We know Austin's not here tonight, but if you're not going to have Stone Cold in the building, this feels like the perfect reason not to do it.
Absolutely. And, and it keeps the intrigue up because, I mean, hindsight's 2020, but you kind of know we're at the end of the road with Shawn and Austin after Mania with their rivalry. So let's start, the wheels in motion for what basically becomes the hottest rivalry of all time.
Yeah, and this crowd eats it up. Speaking of interactions, Triple H comes out next. And this whole thing just kind of seemed like a pretty big cluster.
Yeah.
He comes down and he is being pushed back by officials, which tells us nothing's supposed to happen here. But then he challenges Owen Hart to a European Championship match, stating that Owen stole the championship from him. And then now Owen Hart's hiding behind a fake injury in the commentator's desk. And he pies Owen in the face with his palm, not an actual pie, and says he wants to take the title from Owen tonight. Owen agrees to this match despite being in a cast. And then Owen kind of gets the upper hand. And then we're just going to allow this injured wrestler to have a match because one of the officials decided they could be a referee for this match. okay. Owen throws Hunter into the steel steps, comes around the steel steps and goes to get in the ring. China appears, hits Owen in the cast with a bat, and this could have been the meat and potatoes of the night because I mean she did not like pull back on this shot at all. I know it was a hard cast, and Owen should have been fine, but Joni, lighten up a little bit.
And she had to go around it too, because like when she was throwing the batter, like swinging at it, it was his unprotected leg at first.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if Owen may have owed her money at this point or what, but like it clearly looked like it. But he gets rolled in the ring, and Hunter puts like a half crab on the injured leg, and Owen taps out, and Triple H wins the European Championship. Tells Owen Hart if he shows up at WrestleMania, he's going to put him in a wheelchair. I get that Owen was legitimately injured here, and what happens at WrestleMania happens, and all that, but this just felt very weird and out of place.
Yeah, I mean, and then I thought maybe it was because they were like touch and go. Maybe he won't be able to compete, but I believe they like shortly after this, like he said, does an interview, he'll be there at WrestleMania. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know why. I mean, I guess they could only do so much with their feud at this point. So I guess, but hot potato in the title around with each other is just kind of bizarre.
Yeah, speaking of bizarre, we get to the backstage, and Ken Shamrock has finally agreed to go to a medical facility after his concussion this late in the show. They're sending him off to a medical facility, and then The Rock cuts off Kevin Kelly here. Kevin Kelly was all over the show and says that The Rock is now free to enjoy his WrestleMania from home because Ken Shamrock's not going to show up. Okay.
Yep.
And then for the fourth time in 5 weeks, a Sable and Luna Vachon moment is set to close out Raw. JR tells us that this is also not a match, so never mind the fact that we just had two actual wrestlers, one with one leg, have a match for a championship. These two able-bodied human beings that hate each other cannot have a match. This has to be unsanctioned. It makes sense if you don't think about it, folks. But Sable starts running down to the ring because Luna comes out first, and the officials are trying to pull them apart. So why were we going to let them do this if we weren't going to let them get a hold of each other? Sable was literally telling people she was going to end Luna Vachon earlier in the show, but we're doing this big pull apart. This is so weird. The fans are chanting to let them fight. We know it's because of Sable's lack of in-ring skills and lack of training, etc. But why do this if you're that worried about it?
Man, and if the crowd didn't love Sable so much, I could just imagine like how much they would shit all over this.
But buddy, she was over like Rover right now. I mean, there was no denying how big her star power was at this point.
But you know, this was the only one that I guess I understood why they closed it out because of where they were going to or about to get to. But all the other times made zero sense to me.
But listen, Sable gets her hands on Luna, and the crowd is eating this up. Like, honestly, if they would have ended it with this, it would have been fine. Like, from the reaction, strictly from the reaction that they got. But Mark Merrow throws her off of Luna, and she appears to tweak her ankle or her knee. And Mark goes to help her up, and Luna and Goldust escape, and it kind of seems like it's it because their music starts playing. But Sable legitimately can't get up to her feet. Now, like, in real time, you'd have thought, oh, well, they just wasted 4 main events of this thing that can't even happen now.
Yeah.
But then the lights go out and the organ plays, and here comes Kane. Listen, this is the same guy that came out and chokeslammed 6 minis and almost got to Sonny. He's hit Vader with a wrench. I mean, this guy is unhinged.
Yep.
And now he's coming out to attack this untrained wrestler. And he gets in the ring and sets off the pyro. And Mark Merrow jumps over the top rope and goes and tells the commentator's desk, I'm going to find help.
Classic good chicken shit heel work there, man. Like it had me giggling.
And that leads us to a pretty exciting announcement here on Analyzing Attitude. Mark Merrow himself is actually going to join us next week to talk about his lead up to WrestleMania 14, talk about his experience at WWE and WCW. Listen, I was a big Johnny B. Bad Mark, so I'm really excited to talk to him about that. Mark's going to join us and give us his thoughts on this time period in WWF and his whole wrestling career. He just published a book, and we'll get to talk to him about that. So we're excited to make that announcement tonight. And then we will obviously talk to Mark next week, and we'll give you that interview. He's not going to break down next week's episode of Raw with us. He's just going to talk about his time period in professional wrestling, and we're going to get to go over that with him and help him promote his book and get to talk to him. I'm pretty excited to talk to Mark Merrow.
Absolutely. Was a pretty big fan of his back in the day, and to see all the good he's doing in his life right now is pretty inspirational. So I can't wait to talk to him about some wrestling and what he's been up to. Ever since he stepped out of the limelight of the WWF.
And we can ask him if he ever found help backstage, because Kane goes to attack his then wife, but then the lights go out and the bell tolls, and it tolls, and it tolls, and it tolls. And clearly the Undertaker was not in his spot for this, because this is why it took so long. He appears at the very top of the Titantron. Now, this would have been a lot cooler had they not done this with Sting 4 weeks prior on WCW television. They did the exact same thing.
Yes.
But I made sure to this is a new gimmick we're going to do here on Analyzing Attitude, Mike. I'm going to write down the Undertaker's promo and read it word for word, just so we can have an appreciation of how crap the Undertaker's promo was in 1998. Mark, if you'd like to come on and defend yourself on Analyzing Attitude, we'd love to have you on. We'll let you promote 6 Feet Under. Anyway, this is the exact promo. Kane, I will strike down upon thee with anger and fury, vengeance. That's not a typo. That's what he actually said. Starting the quote again. You will know my name as the Lord of Darkness. Little brother, I felt your wrath. Now you'll feel mine. It's too late to turn back. The only thing you can do now is rest in peace. A lightning bolt then hits a casket on the stage with a mannequin inside of it. It was clearly supposed to catch on fire when the lightning bolt hit, because then you just see this dark, like, latex figure in this casket that eventually starts on fire, and JR has to explain, that's symbolism. That's supposed to be Kane in that casket. This crowd was clearly happy to see the dead man, but this was not great.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed so hard when that thing did not light on fire, because I was like, the hell is that? Is that like a pillow buddy of Kane?
It kind of looked like it. It kind of looked like it.
But and what he said there is like, there's no turning back, Kane. Kane's not running.
He's been trying to fight you for almost a year now. You were the one running.
I was just hoping that this was going to lead to a Sable Undertaker on-screen romance.
Yeah. Oh. Could the secret admirer be the Undertaker? Listen, DDP was the stalker. Maybe that's where the idea came from. Who knows? It's time to grade this week's episode of Raw. It's Tuesday. It's a St. Patrick's Day. It's very lackluster for a Raw leading up to WrestleMania. Mike, how'd you grade it?
I didn't have too much to go pros or cons. I just really went in the middle with a C. I wasn't really affected by the show, like, in the slightest. Just more confused about anything. The Vince stuff was good. But yeah, I settled on a C. The
War Zone was obviously much better than the first hour of Raw. Yeah. I could have done without the title change of the European Championship. Anything that Chainsaw Cactus and the Outlaws are doing right now is A+ in my opinion. Sure. I really surprisingly like the Headbangers promo. Mm-hmm. I hated that Tom Brady was on this episode. We didn't even touch on the Stone Cold video, like Shawn Michaels, mm-hmm. was also A+. They've actually done that 2 weeks in a row now. Right. But the Ken Shamrock Rock Steel Chair, I'll give it a B+, just because the chair shot, and it was quality. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't anything maybe other than the Sable and Luna stuff, but you got to take that with a grain of salt. But they even kind of paid that off with an even bigger angle. I'm going to give it a B+ this week.
I won't go back. I was just about to say, can I go up to a C+ just for to respect Ken Shamrock? But
we'll ask our crack editing team to put the C+ back on the screen, right?
Perfect.
Now there it is. All right, man. Well, listen, that's gonna do it for this week. And listen, it's a Tuesday, but Raw still does over a 4, while Nitro does a 4.6 unopposed on Monday. And literally, we get 7 years of these numbers just going up and up and up and up. And as we mentioned, the 83-week run has got 4 weeks or 3 weeks left. We're at week number 80 of WCW winning the Monday Night Wars. Now we get one more week, the week after WrestleMania, and then it is just full go. Mania is going to be a ton of fun. We still can't announce our third guy. We've got a hesitated yes right now, but we don't want to officially tell our fans and our listeners who it's going to be without a solid confirmation. We're trying to make it work with that person's schedule. If we can't, we may have him on later. He or she, got Got to keep it guessing, brother. Later, and then we'll just do a live rewatch of WrestleMania. We'll let you know officially next week what that's going to look like here on Analyzing Attitude. Don't forget to stick around for Mark Marrow after next week's episode as well. Also, if you have time, go over and check it out. There's an episode coming up where Mike and I are going to break down the Changing the Guard in WWE currently. We're going to talk about some current stuff and talk about should WWE change their premium live event schedule and all that. This has been Analyzing Attitude. Give us an oh hell yeah down in the comments.
Hell yeah.
Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
You got it.
That was just a glimpse into what Analyzing Attitude has to offer. If you liked what you saw here, here's what we suggest next for you. And
if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Like and subscribe.